Marilyn Monroe's death was ruled a probable suicide, but many believe it was a murder orchestrated by the Hollywood elite. The circumstances surrounding her tragic demise have been shrouded in mystery for decades, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and conflicting testimonies. Let's delve into the events of that fateful night, August 4, 1962, and explore the potential biases and cover-ups that may have influenced the initial investigation. On the evening of her death, Marilyn was found unresponsive in her bedroom at 12305 Fifth Helena Drive in Brentwood, Los Angeles. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office would later determine that she had died from an overdose of barbiturates, specifically Nembutal and chloral hydrate. However, the presence of these sedatives in her system has raised suspicions. Why would someone take such a large dose of barbiturates, and why were they found in her bedroom? One of the most contentious aspects of the investigation was the conflicting testimonies of those who claimed to have visited Marilyn on the night of her death. Her housekeeper, Eunice Murray, reported that Marilyn had been acting strangely throughout the evening, taking multiple doses of barbiturates and eventually becoming unresponsive. However, the story takes a turn when we consider the testimony of Dr. Ralph Greenson, Marilyn's psychiatrist. He claimed to have visited Marilyn earlier that evening, administering an additional dose of Nembutal to help her sleep. The discrepancy between these two accounts has led many to question the credibility of the investigation. Was Marilyn's housekeeper trying to cover up something, or was Dr. Greenson's testimony an attempt to downplay his own involvement? The truth is, we may never know for certain, but it's clear that there were several red flags in the initial investigation. One of the most significant concerns is the lack of a thorough examination of Marilyn's phone records and correspondence. While it's true that Marilyn had a troubled past and struggled with addiction, her phone records reveal a flurry of calls to her friends and loved ones in the hours leading up to her death. It's worth noting that many of these calls were made to individuals who were either in close proximity to Marilyn's home or had a vested interest in her well-being. The Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, conducted a cursory investigation into Marilyn's death, but many believe that they were under pressure to rule the case a suicide. The LAPD's decision to accept the coroner's report without further investigation has been widely criticized. In fact, some have speculated that the LAPD may have been influenced by the Hollywood elite, who stood to lose a significant amount of money and reputation if the circumstances surrounding Marilyn's death were to be exposed. So, what really happened to Marilyn Monroe on that fateful night in August 1962? Was it a tragic accident, a deliberate act of murder, or a cleverly orchestrated cover-up? As we continue our investigation, we'll explore the complex web of relationships and motivations that may have led to Marilyn's untimely demise. We'll examine the roles of the men in her life, including her husband Arthur Miller and her rumored lover, the Kennedys. We'll also delve into the darker aspects of Hollywood's history, where the powerful and influential often used their clout to silence anyone who threatened to expose their secrets. As we peel back the layers of this mystery, we'll uncover a story that's both fascinating and disturbing, a tale of power, corruption, and the tragic consequences of a life lived in the spotlight. One thing is certain, Marilyn Monroe's death was not just a tragic event, but a symptom of a larger problem. A problem that continues to haunt us today, where the powerful and the privileged often use their influence to cover up their wrongdoings. As we continue our journey of discovery, we'll explore the implications of this case and the questions it raises about the nature of power and accountability in our society. In the next section, we'll examine the role of the Kennedys in Marilyn's life and the potential connections between her death and the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. We'll also explore the allegations of a Hollywood cover-up and the involvement of other high-profile figures in the entertainment industry. But for now, let's take a closer look at the events of that fateful night and the testimony of those who claim to have been with Marilyn on her final hours. The more we learn about Marilyn's life and death, the more we realize that there's still so much we don't know. But one thing is certain, her legacy continues to captivate us, and the questions surrounding her death remain some of the most intriguing and unsettling in Hollywood's history. Marilyn Monroe's life was marked by the dark underbelly of Hollywood, where fame and fortune came at a steep price, and the powerful preyed on the vulnerable. On the surface, the glamour of old Hollywood seemed like a dream come true, but behind the scenes, a sinister reality existed, where aspiring stars were exploited and abused. In the early days of Hollywood, the casting couch was a notorious fixture, where young actresses were coerced into compromising situations in exchange for roles and fame. The likes of Louis B. Mayer and Jack Warner were notorious for their predatory behavior, using their power to manipulate and control the women who came to them seeking stardom. It's a pattern of abuse that would continue for decades, leaving in its wake a trail of damaged lives and shattered dreams. Take the story of Jean Spangler, for example. A beautiful young actress, Spangler was discovered by a talent scout in the 1940s and quickly rocketed to fame. But behind the scenes, she was struggling with the pressures of fame and the constant objectification by her male colleagues. In 1949, Spangler vanished, leaving behind only a cryptic note that read, "My love, do not take my radio. Sal." Theories have abounded about Spangler's disappearance, with some speculating that she was a victim of the very same Hollywood system that Monroe would later succumb to. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: Spangler's story is a stark reminder of the systemic abuse and exploitation of women in the industry. One of the most shocking examples of this abuse is the story of Natalie Wood, whose life was marked by a series of traumatic experiences at the hands of powerful men. Wood began her career at the tender age of 4, singing on the radio and eventually landing small roles in films. But as she grew older, she found herself increasingly objectified and exploited by her male colleagues, including the likes of Robert Wagner and Christopher Walken. In 1981, Wood's body was found floating in the Pacific, the result of an apparent drowning. But the circumstances surrounding her death remain shrouded in mystery, with many speculating that she was a victim of foul play. Whatever the truth may be, Wood's story serves as a stark reminder of the dangers faced by women in the entertainment industry, where the pursuit of fame and fortune can come at a deadly price. The Hollywood system perpetuated a culture of silence and complicity, allowing powerful individuals to get away with crimes. This culture of silence was fueled by a combination of factors, including the fear of blacklisting and the desire to maintain a clean image. As a result, women like Monroe and Spangler were left to suffer in silence, their stories hidden behind a veil of glamour and deceit. But it's not just the women who suffered. The powerful men of Hollywood, including the likes of Harvey Weinstein and Roman Polanski, were able to continue their abuse and exploitation for decades, their crimes hidden behind a web of secrecy and complicity. In the face of such overwhelming evidence, it's clear that the Hollywood system is rotten to the core. But as we continue to dig deeper, we begin to uncover a more sinister reality, one that involves a web of powerful individuals and institutions working together to cover up the truth. And so, the question remains, what really happened to Marilyn Monroe? Was it a tragic accident, or was it a calculated murder orchestrated by the very same system that had been exploiting and abusing her for years? As we continue to investigate, one thing is certain: the truth is far more complex and far more sinister than we ever could have imagined. The Hollywood system may have been able to silence its victims, but it's clear that the truth is beginning to unravel. And as we continue to dig deeper, we begin to uncover a more sinister reality, one that involves a web of powerful individuals and institutions working together to cover up the truth. But the question remains, what really happened to Marilyn Monroe? Was it a tragic accident, or was it a calculated murder orchestrated by the very same system that had been exploiting and abusing her for years? As we continue to investigate, one thing is certain: the truth is far more complex and far more sinister than we ever could have imagined. In the next section, we'll delve deeper into the conspiracy theories surrounding Monroe's death, exploring the roles of key players and institutions in the cover-up. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on the sheer scale of the abuse and exploitation that went unchecked in the Hollywood system. It's a sobering reminder of the dangers faced by women in the entertainment industry, and a stark warning about the dangers of power and corruption. As we continue to explore the mystery surrounding Marilyn Monroe's death, we're reminded that the truth is often far more complex and far more sinister than we ever could have imagined. And as we peel back the layers of deception and corruption, we begin to uncover a more sinister reality, one that involves a web of powerful individuals and institutions working together to cover up the truth. The Hollywood system may have been able to silence its victims, but the truth is beginning to unravel. And as we continue to dig deeper, we begin to uncover a more sinister reality, one that involves a web of powerful individuals and institutions working together to cover up the truth. As we continue to unravel the tangled threads surrounding Marilyn Monroe's life and death, it's essential to meet the key players who shaped her fate. These individuals, often shrouded in mystery and controversy, will help us understand the complex web of relationships and alliances that defined Marilyn's world. Let's start with her tumultuous marriage to baseball legend Joe DiMaggio. On January 14, 1954, Marilyn and Joe exchanged vows in a quiet ceremony in San Francisco. The union was marked by passion and possessiveness, with Joe becoming increasingly jealous and controlling. He even attempted to ban her from befriending other men, a move that would ultimately lead to the demise of their marriage. Their relationship was a roller coaster of highs and lows, with Marilyn often feeling trapped and suffocated by Joe's possessiveness. She would later describe him as a dictator who made her feel like a prisoner. Despite this, Marilyn's love for Joe was genuine, and she would remain devoted to him until the very end. However, Joe's grip on Marilyn only intensified in the months leading up to her death. He would often show up unannounced at her home, demanding to know where she was and who she was with. This toxic dynamic would eventually take its toll on Marilyn's mental health, leaving her feeling anxious and isolated. Now, let's turn our attention to Marilyn's relationships with the Kennedys. Her friendship with JFK began in the early 1960s, with the two sharing a deep affection for each other's company. Marilyn would often visit the Kennedy compound in Hyannisport, where she would engage in lively conversations about politics and culture. As their friendship grew, rumors of an affair began to circulate. While Marilyn never confirmed the rumors, her proximity to the Kennedys and their inner circle would lead many to speculate about the nature of their relationship. Some even suggest that Marilyn's death may have been linked to her close ties with the Kennedys, who were known to be embroiled in their own share of scandals and controversies. Regardless of the truth behind their relationship, it's clear that Marilyn's association with the Kennedys had a profound impact on her life. She was drawn into a world of high-stakes politics and glamour, where the lines between reality and fantasy often blurred. As we delve deeper into Marilyn's world, it becomes increasingly evident that her relationships with the powerful and influential would ultimately seal her fate. Moving beyond Marilyn's personal relationships, let's examine the role of the powerful Hollywood executives who controlled her career. As one of the most sought-after stars of her time, Marilyn was a prized asset to 20th Century Fox, the studio behind many of her most iconic films. Darryl F. Zanuck, the studio's head, was a towering figure in Hollywood, known for his ruthless tactics and uncompromising vision. He wielded enormous power over Marilyn's career, dictating her roles, her wardrobe, and even her personal life. Zanuck's grip on Marilyn was so tight that he even went so far as to dictate her marriage to Joe DiMaggio, a move that would ultimately lead to the demise of their relationship. The studio system was a complex web of relationships and alliances, with powerful executives like Zanuck pulling the strings from behind the scenes. As we explore the inner workings of this system, it becomes clear that Marilyn's fate was inextricably linked to the whims of these powerful individuals. They controlled her career, her relationships, and even her very life, leaving her with little room for maneuver. As we reflect on the complex web of relationships and alliances that defined Marilyn's life, it's clear that her story is far from over. The threads of mystery and controversy surrounding her death continue to unravel, leaving us with more questions than answers. Who was responsible for her tragic demise? Was it a murder orchestrated by the Hollywood elite, or a simple case of suicide? The truth, much like Marilyn herself, remains shrouded in mystery, waiting to be uncovered by those brave enough to confront the dark secrets of old Hollywood. From the CIA to the Mafia, multiple theories have emerged about who was behind Marilyn Monroe's death. Let's examine the evidence. Theories surrounding Marilyn's death have evolved over the years, with some pointing to government involvement, while others blame organized crime. But what really happened? One of the most intriguing theories is that Marilyn's death was orchestrated by the CIA. The agency had allegedly been monitoring her activities, suspecting she had ties to communist sympathizers. As a result, she became a potential embarrassment to the government. One of the key pieces of evidence supporting this theory is a letter written by Marilyn in 1962, just months before her death. In it, she mentions being approached by a government agent who warned her about her associations. This letter, often cited as evidence of Marilyn's alleged communist ties, has been extensively analyzed. However, many experts argue that it's been taken out of context. They claim the letter was a desperate cry for help, not a declaration of allegiance to any ideology. The CIA's involvement in Marilyn's life, while intriguing, remains speculative. But what if we look at another theory, one that implicates the Mafia? The Mafia's presence in Hollywood during Marilyn's era is well documented. They had infiltrated the film industry, using their influence to control the production and distribution of movies. Some believe that Marilyn's death was a hit ordered by the Mafia, who saw her as a threat to their power and influence. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence supporting this theory is the testimony of a former Mafia associate. He claims that a high-ranking member of the organization had ordered Marilyn's murder due to her alleged romantic involvement with a mobster. However, there are significant gaps in this theory. For one, there's a lack of concrete evidence linking the Mafia to Marilyn's murder. Furthermore, many experts dispute the former associate's testimony, labeling it as an unreliable account. As we continue to explore the various theories surrounding Marilyn's death, one thing becomes clear: the truth may never be fully revealed. But what if we look at the most plausible theory of all, one that implicates the Hollywood elite? According to this theory, Marilyn's death was a cover-up orchestrated by the powerful individuals who controlled the film industry. They wanted to silence her and maintain their grip on power. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence supporting this theory is the testimony of a former actress who claims to have witnessed a conversation between Marilyn and a prominent Hollywood producer. In the conversation, the producer allegedly warned Marilyn to keep quiet about a dark secret she had discovered. The actress claims that Marilyn was shaken by the encounter, fearing for her life. While this testimony is intriguing, it remains unverifiable. However, it does raise questions about the motivations of those who controlled the film industry during Marilyn's era. As we delve deeper into the world of Hollywood's dark secrets, one thing becomes clear: the truth is often obscured by layers of complexity. Marilyn's death may never be fully explained, but by examining the various theories surrounding her demise, we can begin to piece together a more comprehensive picture. And it's this picture that raises more questions than answers. The autopsy and forensic evidence. Imagine you're a detective trying to solve a high-profile murder case, but the key evidence is shrouded in mystery. This is exactly what law enforcement faced when investigating Marilyn Monroe's death. The autopsy report revealed a cocktail of sedatives and barbiturates, but was it a deliberate act of murder, or a tragic accident? The medical examiner's findings have been scrutinized for decades, and it's time to dive deeper. In 1962, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office conducted the autopsy. The report stated that Marilyn had taken an overdose of a combination of barbiturates and sedatives, leading to a heart attack and ultimately, her death. However, some have questioned the accuracy of the report. They point to the fact that the coroner's office was under pressure to produce a quick result, given the intense media scrutiny surrounding Marilyn's death. One of the most puzzling aspects of the autopsy is the presence of an unusual amount of chloral hydrate, a sedative commonly used in the 1960s. The medical examiner initially concluded that Marilyn had taken the chloral hydrate herself, but some believe that it's possible someone else could have administered it to her. This raises questions about the possibility of foul play. The forensic evidence is equally compelling. Hair and fiber analysis revealed the presence of fibers from a man's suit jacket, later identified as belonging to Peter Lawford, Marilyn's friend and fellow Hollywood star. However, the significance of these fibers remains unclear, and some have questioned their relevance to the case. The investigation also turned up some fascinating physical evidence. A pair of gloves was found near the scene, which some believe may have belonged to the person who administered the lethal dose. However, the gloves were never matched to anyone, and their connection to the case remains a mystery. As we explore the forensic evidence, it's essential to consider the possible motives behind the alleged murder. One of the key suspects is Marilyn's husband, Joe DiMaggio. DiMaggio was known for his possessiveness and jealousy, and some believe that he may have been driven to murder Marilyn in a fit of rage. However, others argue that DiMaggio's alibi checks out, and he couldn't have been in the room when Marilyn died. The investigation into Marilyn's death is a complex web of intrigue and deception. As we continue to unravel the threads, it's essential to stay focused on the evidence. The autopsy report and forensic findings offer a glimpse into the events surrounding Marilyn's death, but they also raise more questions. What really happened in that Los Angeles bedroom on August 5, 1962? Was it a tragic accident, or a deliberate act of murder? The truth remains shrouded in mystery, and it's up to us to uncover it. The investigation is far from over, and we'll continue to follow the trail of clues in the next section. But for now, let's take a moment to consider the significance of the forensic evidence and the possible motives behind the alleged murder. What do you think happened to Marilyn Monroe? Share your theories in the comments below. The case is far from closed, and we need your help to solve it. Marilyn's death sent shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond, but the real question is, what did it mean for the women who came after her? As we delve deeper into the mystery surrounding her passing, it's essential to consider the profound impact it had on the feminist movement. The 1960s were a pivotal time for women's rights, and Marilyn's death became a rallying cry for those fighting for equality. Her tragic demise sparked widespread outrage and sadness, with many feeling that she had been silenced, just as women were finally starting to make their voices heard. The feminist movement, led by pioneers like Gloria Steinem and Betty Friedan, saw Marilyn's death as a symbol of the systemic oppression women faced in society. One of the most striking examples of Marilyn's impact on the feminist movement was the way she was perceived by women of the time. To many, she represented a complex and multifaceted figure, a sex symbol, an actress, and a woman who had spoken out against the patriarchal norms of Hollywood. Her struggles with mental health, her experiences with sexism, and her eventual descent into depression resonated deeply with women who felt trapped in similar situations. Marilyn's iconic movies, such as Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and Some Like It Hot, continue to captivate audiences today. However, what's often overlooked is the way her on-screen persona was shaped by the societal expectations placed upon her. As a blonde bombshell, she was typecast in roles that reinforced the objectification of women. Yet, she also managed to subvert these expectations by bringing a sense of vulnerability and humanity to her characters. The legacy of Marilyn Monroe extends far beyond her movies, though. She remains an enduring cultural icon, with her image and legacy continuing to fascinate audiences worldwide. Her impact on popular culture is undeniable, from the countless references in music and art to the countless parodies and spoofs that have been made about her. And yet, beneath the surface of this enduring popularity lies a complex and often painful story, one that continues to haunt us to this day. As we reflect on the aftermath of Marilyn's death, it's clear that it marked a turning point in the history of Hollywood. The era of old Hollywood, with its strict codes of conduct and patriarchal power structures, was slowly giving way to a new era of female empowerment. The women who followed in Marilyn's footsteps, actresses like Jane Fonda, Barbra Streisand, and Susan Sarandon, would go on to push the boundaries of what was possible for women in the entertainment industry. In the next section, we'll be exploring the ways in which Marilyn's death was covered up, and the extent to which the Hollywood establishment was involved. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on the profound impact Marilyn Monroe had on the women who came after her. Her legacy continues to inspire and educate us today, reminding us of the power of storytelling, the importance of female empowerment, and the enduring impact of one woman's tragic story. After examining the evidence and the theories, we're left with a haunting question: was Marilyn Monroe murdered, or did she take her own life? As we piece together the puzzle, it becomes clear that the truth behind her passing is far more complex than initially meets the eye. Let's break down the key evidence and the findings of the investigation. The autopsy report revealed a cocktail of sedatives and barbiturates in Marilyn's system, but this wasn't the only factor at play. The investigation also uncovered a web of deceit and corruption that went all the way to the top of Hollywood. It's alleged that Marilyn was being blackmailed by the CIA, who had compromising photos of her. This raised suspicions that her death was a calculated move to silence her. But who would benefit from her silence? One theory points to the Hollywood elite, who had much to lose if Marilyn's secrets were exposed. The likes of President Kennedy and his brother, Robert, had a close relationship with Marilyn, and it's rumored that she was having an affair with the president himself. This would have been a scandal of epic proportions, one that could have brought down the Kennedy administration. As we dig deeper, it becomes clear that the evidence points to a more sinister plot. The CIA's involvement raises questions about the extent of their reach and influence in Hollywood. Were they using Marilyn as a pawn in a larger game of power and corruption? Or was it simply a tragic accident that was covered up to protect the powerful? The truth is, we may never know for certain what happened to Marilyn Monroe. But one thing is clear: her legacy continues to captivate us to this day. From her iconic performances on screen to her tumultuous personal life, Marilyn remains an enigma, a puzzle that continues to fascinate and inspire us. As we reflect on the mystery surrounding her passing, it's essential to consider the broader implications. Marilyn's story is a reminder of the dangers of silencing women, of the power of the establishment to crush those who dare to speak out. Her legacy serves as a call to action, a reminder of the importance of feminism, of the need to challenge the status quo and demand justice. The mystery of Marilyn Monroe's death remains unsolved, but one thing is certain: her story continues to inspire and captivate us. Join the conversation, explore the topic further, and let's keep asking questions about the truth behind Marilyn's tragic demise.